This is on Thacker, and Gladiator is an incredibly popular film that I had not seen until this year, when I watched it in preparation for Gladiator 2. Really the only things I knew about Gladiator was of course the infamous quote, "Are you not entertained?" and all the references made to it in Toy Story I Time Forgot. And of course, it's a great film. Gladiator is really one of those movies that just wouldn't be made like how it was today. So I was interested in a sequel to Gladiator 24 years later. So now you've seen Gladiator 2, it's really good. Taking place years after the first Gladiator, Lucius, now an adult, ends up as a gladiator in the Roman Colosseum like Maximus years before. My biggest and one of the only complaints I have with this film is that at times it does feel a bit too similar to the original Gladiator. It treads some of the same plot points and does a handful of the same things. But overall, I did think it did do enough unique and new stuff to make it different enough from the original Gladiator. And that mainly comes in the final act. A fair bit of the first act trails quite a few things to the original Gladiator, but I guess that does make sense, as this is a quite similar story. But towards the second and final act, it does very much become its own thing, and not just a sequel to Gladiator. Now I will say, this film does feel like Gladiator, but bigger. There's bigger action, bigger stakes, and I was worried that this film was going to try too hard to be bigger, that it was going to lose that emotional side of Gladiator, and I don't think it ever did. It is definitely bigger than the first Gladiator. As seen in the trailers, we have rhinos and sharks. But as I said, it never goes too big. Like there's nothing to where it actually jumps the shark. It still feels realistic and believable. And the action is done really well. And the effects are good. But they're not as good as the original Gladiator, which of course were all practical. In this one, well yes, there are practical effects, but there's a lot of computer effects. And I do think they look good. But sometimes you can just look at them and tell that's a computer effect. And it does kind of take out the film for just a few seconds, and then you get back into it. But I do appreciate this film trying new things. It could have been too similar to the original Gladiator, but it very much feels different. And I do think it makes a good, if unnecessary, sequel. It continues the role of Gladiator in a way that makes sense and feels natural. And I gotta say, a lot of the characters in this movie, I actually really like. My favorite characters were without a doubt Denzel Washington, who plays Maximus, this film's villain. I thought he was a really good, understandable, intimidating villain that feels like a genuine threat. Pedro Pascal, who plays General Cassius, I absolutely loved. Probably my favorite character in the film. For one, it's Pedro Pascal. I love how his character in particular plays off against all the other characters, and was my favorite scene in the movie. And as for Lucius himself, our main character, well yes, I did really like his character. I didn't love his character. Honestly, I'm not sure why I didn't. I liked him, I just didn't love him. But I am so glad they didn't make Lucius just a copy-paste of Maximus. I feel like that could have been so easily done, but he is a very different character from Maximus. One thing I kind of wish they did with his character was make him kind of like Noah from Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, where in that movie, whenever Noah gets into a fight, he never wins using physical combat. He has to think his way to victory. And Lucius definitely isn't on the same combat level as Maximus, but he still pretty much wins every fight he gets into. And I think if he had to think his way out, be more creative, and not just in physical strength, I think they could make his character stand out more. And Lucius's mom, and Maximus's love interest from the first Gladiator, returns in this film. Once again played by Connie Nelson. And I did like seeing more of her character. I think they do some really good and interesting things with this character. The one thing I was worried this film would do is focus too heavily on Maximus. Maximus has become a very popular character, but this film very much treats Maximus the same way Kingdom treated Caesar. I'm not sure why I'm comparing this film so much to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, but I guess let's roll with it. Maximus does loom over this movie. He is referred to. His legacy plays a decent role in the film, but it's never too much to where Maximus takes over the film. Overall, I really liked Gladiator 2. I think it's really good. I recommend it. Also, if you've enjoyed this video, then consider liking and subscribing, and join the subreddit and the Discord server. Bye guys for now! Bye, Aslyn Thacker.